The tradition of wearing black to funerals is long-standing, rooted deeply in history and symbolism. It represents mourning and respect for the deceased. Tracing back to the Roman Empire, black attire became synonymous with loss and bereavement. This somber hue, as the conventional choice for funeral attire, signifies the gravity of the occasion and is intended to reflect the solemn emotions of the attendees. Over the centuries, this practice has evolved, influenced by cultural traditions and historical figures, solidifying the color black as the customary emblem of grief in funerals. For example, following the death of Prince Albert, Queen Victoria of England wore black continuously as a sign of mourning, which significantly popularized the color's use in funeral proceedings. This somber choice in color is thought to provide a way for individuals to externally manifest their inner emotional state, facilitating a collective acknowledgment of the loss that binds them together. In contemporary society, wearing black to funerals remains a widely observed practice, signifying solidarity with the bereaved and showcasing a universal symbol for mourning. The color black, often associated with seriousness and the absence of distraction, allows mourners to adopt a dignified and respectful appearance. It is seen as a visual expression of compassion and support, providing a subdued backdrop against which to commemorate a life and confront the finality of death. The history of wearing black to funerals is a complex tapestry that interweaves tradition, cultural shifts, and societal norms. This evolution is discernible through examining ancient customs, the impact of the Victorian era, and the broader cultural changes over time. Historically, the association of black clothing with mourning dates back to the Roman Empire, where citizens would wear a toga pulla, a dark-coloured toga, to signify their grief after a death. This tradition underscored the significant role that colour played in the cultural expressions of mourning. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, colour was integral to the funerary process, as the belief in the afterlife prompted the use of various colours in their mourning practices. The Victorian era marked a pivotal moment in the history of mourning attire, with Queen Victoria's adherence to prolonged periods of mourning after the death of her husband, Prince Albert. Her public display of grief established a strict protocol for mourning dress, which included heavy use of black clothing. During this period, widows were expected to wear mourning dress for an extended time, often in structured stages that could last years, shifting gradually from black to purple, grey, and even yellow or gold as time passed and mourning periods waned. As societies progressed, the strict codes of the Victorian era relaxed, especially within the middle class, where the cost and practicality of maintaining an extensive mourning wardrobe was less feasible. While black remains the predominant choice for funeral attire in many cultures, its significance has evolved, symbolizing respect and solemnity rather than a strictly observed social mandate. This evolution reflects a broader trend of personalized approaches to death and mourning. The historical perspective on why individuals wear black to funerals reveals a powerful link between color, mourning, and cultural expression. From the ancient traditions to the Victorian influence on mourning attire, and finally the cultural evolution of funeral attire, one can see how history has shaped this somber sartorial choice. In the context of funerals, colors serve as a non-verbal way to express emotions and cultural traditions tied to mourning and remembrance. Black is the quintessential color of mourning in many Western societies, deeply rooted in funeral etiquette and tradition. It symbolizes grief and solemnity, setting a respectful tone for the occasion. Wearing black to funerals is a practice that aligns with the gravity of the event, reflecting the sorrowful mood. Conversely, in many Eastern cultures, such as those practicing Hinduism, white is the traditional color of mourning. This color represents purity and innocence, and is often worn by mourners to symbolize peace for the departed soul. For example, in traditional Asian funerals, white can replace black as the primary mourning attire. The significance of colors in mourning varies greatly across different cultures. In Ghana, for instance, red is a standard mourning color, while purple and white are sometimes seen in Christian funerals, with purple symbolizing suffering associated with the Passion of Christ, and hence mourning. Yellow, albeit less commonly, has been used to express mourning historically, especially in Latin American cultures where it symbolizes the golden light of eternity. In exploring mourning practices around the globe, it's evident that cultural, religious, and social factors deeply influence traditions. From the Victorian era's complex customs to Ghana's colorful celebrations of life, the ways in which societies honor their deceased are as diverse as the cultures themselves. Western societies have historically adopted a somber approach to funerals and mourning. Clothes play a significant role, with black seen as the traditional color of mourning, especially within Christian funerals. This custom dates back to Roman times and was cemented during the Victorian era. The Catholic Church also influenced mourning attire, advocating modest dressing during these times. Half mourning, a practice that involves transitioning from darker to lighter-colored clothing, was another tradition that emerged in the West, allowing mourners to re-enter society gradually. In contrast, Eastern and African traditions can vastly differ. Hindu culture, for instance, typically requires the family to dress in white, symbolizing purity and rebirth. Cremation is the favored method of disposition. Japan also leans towards simplicity and subtlety, with mourners favoring conservative attire but not necessarily black. In parts of Africa like Ghana, funerals are vibrant events where mourners might wear red and black. Here, funerals are as much an affirmation of life as they are a farewell to the deceased. Today, global mourning customs are diversifying even further, with some choosing to forgo traditional death rituals in favor of personalized celebrations of life. Clothing choices may vary from the traditional mourning gown to attire commemorating the individual. While Islam traditionally discourages the wearing of black during mourning, assigning different connotations to the color, modern interpretations may see variations in practice. Across the spectrum, these modifications show an increasing trend toward individuality in honoring the end of life. Regarding funerals, the attire worn by mourners is heavily influenced by personal sentiments and societal norms. The following subsections explore the nuanced reasons behind the tradition of wearing black, covering aspects such as respect for the deceased, communal solidarity, and the symbolic use of mourning attire. Black clothing is often chosen for funerals as a sign of respect for the deceased. It represents solemnity and the absence of distraction, allowing mourners to focus on remembering the deceased individual. The tradition of wearing black can be traced back centuries and serves as a visual expression of grief and reverence across many cultures. Funeral customs play a critical role in providing comfort and a sense of community. By wearing similar mourning dress, individuals can form a collective identity that supports the bereaved family. Shared customs such as the mourning gown act as an unspoken language of support and solidarity. Choosing specific mourning attire, accessories, and jewelry can be a personal expression of loss. While black remains the predominant color, variations exist, with some incorporating subtle details like a mourning pin to signify their unique connection to the deceased. This attire serves as a physical manifestation of an individual's internal state of mourning.